today, this beautiful Thursday that is also cloudy but full of green and bright colors here, walking around the neighborhood, getting some steps in after a very fulfilling morning. The last few months, not last few months, probably 6 months to a year have been very inward for me, working on getting my bearings and figuring out what my value is to myself, and then also to the world. And sometimes that can be very confusing, going back and forth between one and the other. What your value is to you and what your value is to the outside world. And most importantly, what I come back to every situation I like to speak extensively about what looks like my experience, be very confusing and daunting, and just lacks a lot of hope sometimes when you in there. And I can get very high when I'm on a good streak, and so I got to learn to, in those moments, to come back from the bottom or take myself off the peak so that I can make better decisions and be more logical about situations and not let the emotion get to get me to a place that isn't functional or healthy. And for the last 2 years, I've been battling out with my company as a consultant, and had a lot of great successes for my clients and for myself and for my family. Ultimately, to be very contracts that I had, and just really sent me through that ping pong game of what's your value, are you valuable, can you do what you say you're going to do, and then from outsiders looking in, like, oh, you're not succeeding. And so that's hard, waging that battle internally, knowing that you're doing something that's beneficial and valuable, and it will reap the rewards to other people saying, hey, well, I'm not seeing it. You're not showing the results, especially when it comes to that metric being bringing in the money. So short scenario, I landed several clients millions and millions of dollars in contracts, and ultimately was paid up to a certain point. And then when the money really started rolling in, they cut me off of everything and stopped paying me, stopped communicating with me, and really put me in a bind because those contracts took 18 months to procure. And I put a lot of my time, energy, and resources into getting those contracts, and then to not get paid out really sets you back with, a wife and a newborn, or even if you're single, just disappointing and disheartening is what it was, and had me reevaluating my position, uh, the stance that I had on my self-understanding, my self-worth, my abilities, my capability, and the viability of what I was going after, which was to be a consultant focused on business development in a more holistic way than most consultants are. Most consultants come in, they look at your business, and they give you the same spiel that they gave every other business. This is what you need to do. This is how you're going to do it. And these are the results that you get. Now, can I have my check, please? And then they go on their way and down the road, regardless of whether that person is clear on what to do, if they know how to implement, if they know how to convey that clear message to their staff, and if they're even on the same page as you as far as their understanding and acceptance of what you're telling them. Hear this a lot about McKinsey and McKinsey. Get a lot of young kids with MBAs and PhDs coming in telling Fortune 500 companies what to do, and usually it's downsize, fire people, etc., and they've never had any real world business experience. So I wanted to offer something different from the perspective of a guy who's been in a myriad of industries and been able to lead at a very high level and achieve significant results on a national level. And you could compare my results globally respectively, and they would be outstanding. And even though I've achieved those results, and I know that's great, went out on my own as a consultant, found that world very, very different from what I thought it was going to be. And so, I went out with the purpose of helping people. And there's a lot of people out there that say they want help, but they're not willing to do anything to get the help or the dream or the vision that they have. They're not willing to invest in it. They just want somebody to do it for them. Call it employee syndrome. Owners want to grow and they want to treat everybody like an employee. And if you always treat everybody like an employee, you're always going to get the level of participation that you've got, and you're going to keep getting the same results. Sometimes you have to let an outside perspective come in, change things up. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. It's what I always say. That's a George Bernard Shaw quote that I love. And long story short, you hustle into something, and everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's a fantastic quote. I love it because it's so true. Have all the skills, the ambition, the wherewithal, the resources, at least people-wise, not financially. I didn't really have the resources to continue on, which is why I had to go to my next phase, which is what I'm talking to you guys about, which is coming back from that dark place. So after I lost out on that money, $1.5 million+, that I've been for a client that are now shelling out millions and millions of dollars to that client, and it's great. And so I had to go back to what I knew, which was me, and really search deep on what did I accomplish outside of money. No connection to money, no connection to dollars, because again, I missed out on a lot of money on those deals. But what I did accomplish was some very high levels with some very large companies that have a welded shut door when it comes to relationships. And I was able to get to those relationships in multitude in different industries in different variations within 4 to 5 months for several of my clients, and generate some huge revenue returns for that. And then I didn't get paid for it. So you look at it the way of, did I succeed? I had to get to the point where I said yes. I learned how to navigate in the B2B space in several industries that I had never been in a very short period of time, just a few months. And then when I talked to people that had been in the industry for 30, 40 years, told them of the results that I was getting, they were blown away. Said, never heard of anything like that. Never seen anybody be able to do it that way. And I think really the results were because I didn't operate inside an industry standard. I only operated from a way of aligning values. I had a client that wanted to sell something or provide a service or sell a product. And so I just went out and found people who had the value, the reciprocal value, which was they needed this product. They wanted this product. They saw value in this product. And I found who those people were by asking questions, by listening to people speak about their wants, needs, desires, and then opening up a conversation with, why is that? Why do you want that? Why does that make sense for you? What will that do to you in your life? And how does that add value to you? And then they tell me what that is. And a lot of times they say, well, I just haven't found anybody that can do that, or haven't, been able to find anything that is similar to being able to solve this type of problem. And then I would say, what if I told you I have the company or the person or the product or the service that could solve that problem? Would you be interested in opening up a conversation about what that looks like and how that works? And so again, very rapid, got very high up into some executive levels that are very hard for seasoned people in the industry to do, and I did it with no industry experience, right? Like I definitely have some experience. I've been doing this since I was 16 years old, and then probably before, but at a business level, 16 years old selling. So whole point to this is, results have different metrics that they're gauged by. And I was very disappointed in myself because I had a need to earn enough money to be able to provide for my family and create my own business. And that was the metric that I set. But the reason why I do these things is because I really love helping people. I really love having really deep, open conversations with business owners who are stressed out and they don't know who to trust. They don't know where to go because they've literally ran the gauntlet and they're on the edge. Um, I know, I know because I've done it so many times. I know how to get them out of it, and so I learned that and proved that I can do that. But I also learned that most people want you to get them out of the problem, but they don't want to pay for it. They want something for free. It's a problem with a lot of business owners is they create these giant problems for themselves, typically because they just don't have the knowledge, which is understanding. Most people jump into business or fall into business on accident and then they figure it out as they go. And when somebody comes in with an in-depth knowledge of how to categorize things, organize things, streamline things, implement processes and systems, train, and then build up a team of resources. They they get scared because it starts to become very real that their dreams may come true. And I know that sounds weird to say, but they start looking at this like, oh, I'm going to have to do all these things. At this point, if you can solve this up to this point, that would be great because I don't want to be responsible for more than just solving the immediate need. And so they regress back. Instead of 10x, 100x, they turn back into, I just want to be even keel. And then they stop seeing your value. And so what I realized along that way through all that struggle and the depression that I went through and the doubt that I went through and the financial hardships, the physical hardships, mental and spiritual hardships is that know yourself well enough to know what you're capable of. And the one thing that I know at a very fundamental level is that I will never give up. If there is an objective to achieve, I will find it. I will find a way and I will do it. And the second thing is don't trust people with your money. Hold them accountable. Those who don't want to have skin in the game or invest in their own salvation are not people you ever want to work with. And it's not because they're bad people. It's not because there's something wrong with them. It's because they don't want to commit on the vision they're telling you that they have. They just want you to do it for them, which means ultimately they are not committed to that dream themselves, to do whatever the fuck it takes to get where they want to go. And so those are not the people that you want to work with. So no longer will I work with anyone who does not want to jump full 100% in. When you ask me to 10x or 100x, you better come to the table. And you're going to come to the table with partnership, equity stake, and a signed contract and a retainer for my knowledge. You retain my knowledge, but I get a percentage of the results that I achieve. So at this point, the ultimate conclusion of what I'm doing now and what I'm pursuing now is I will only partner and buy businesses. So I want to buy businesses. I want to find owners who are distressed and maybe they don't want to get out of it completely. Maybe they just need a better partner, or maybe they just need a partner with more energy, more foresight and ambition to grow something that they've struggled so hard to build up to this point, and they just don't know where to go. They don't know that they want to sell, but they would like to make the company better. They would like to make the lives of their people better. Those are the people that I want to partner up with because I will take you to the moon. And so anybody watching this, hearing this, if you see this video, you know somebody who is a business owner struggling to get outside the operator seat and they want to become an owner. They want to let their company pay for the dream so they can go on vacation and do things, and they just don't know how to segue out of that. They don't know how to hire the right people. They don't know how to set up the right systems. They don't have good accountants. They don't have good attorneys. They don't know business structure. They don't know how to leverage properly. They don't know how to pay off debt. They don't know how to make more money. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to market. Any of these things, I'm happy to have a conversation with them without charging them a dime, just to see if it is really something that I could deliver. If I do have a way to deliver those results to them, would they be open to partnering up with me, or giving me an equity stake as a consultant, paying me a retainer plus performance pay, to achieve those results for them, I would love to do that. So, anybody who wants a guy who just passionately cares about people winning and will genuinely tell you what his thoughts are outside of best interests, like, of course, I want to make money. Of course, I want to get into these businesses. But if I don't think it's a good fit, I will 100% tell you it's not a good fit. And if I'm not the good fit, I bet you I will give you a direction to somebody who is a good fit that will allow you some alleviation of stress and some clarity on your journey, whether it be me or someone that I recommend to you or someone that I recommend to you that recommends someone to you. That's all I want. I just want to help people get the next lives they want to live. And I'm open to that opportunity if you are. So give me a call. Let's talk about it. I'll tell you how I win, who I am, what my results are, and then ultimately